How's it going, everyone? We just had the conclusion of the State of Play event, and you know what? Like, I crapped on the showcase last year, but when Sony comes out and they drop something good, I'm gonna give them credit for dropping something good. Not only did we get a killer State of Play, maybe killer is a little bit of a stretch, but I thought it was pretty damn good. We also know come February 6th, they'll be back with the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth State of Play, and given that, you know, we didn't have the game showcase here, I'm happy they came out at the end and just said, hey, we're gonna do another State of Play. I would have to think the demo is gonna be dropped much like they did with the Final Fantasy 16 demo, excuse me, the Final Fantasy 16 DLC that just dropped that day when they revealed it. I'm pretty sure that's what they're gonna do with Rebirth. We'll see if a demo ultimately happens. There hasn't been any rumblings of a demo. I just look at the fact that there was a demo for FF7 Remake, and Rebirth's coming up. Timeline-wise, works out well. That's just my 2 cents, but let's talk about all the stuff that was showcased as a part of this State of Play. I talked about it for like 6 months that Helldivers 2 got done dirty at the showcase when they decided to unveil Fair Game instead of Helldivers 2 getting a prominent showcase in the beginning of that event. At least we decided to fix that this time around with Helldivers 2 taking center stage to open up the show. I think Helldivers 2 looks great. I just think it's a game that, from a promotional standpoint, with so many other big games coming out, it is going to be a little dicey, but we'll see how it ultimately turns out. I think there's a chance for the game to find a really big audience on PC. And given that it is a PlayStation 5 and PC cross-release, I think that will ultimately be beneficial for the game. Also priced at $40, I think that'll turn out fairly well. Stellar Blade is the game that I think, as far as standouts go, everybody's going to be talking about this. Wow, that game surprised me. Not only did the game surprise me, the release date of April 26th. Look, guys, I like to view things pessimistically, so when I am surprised by something like a release date, I'm ecstatic about it, and it actually takes me by surprise, and, you know, pessimism sometimes pays off in that regard. But, yo, April 26th, we're gonna get Stellar Blade. Man, that PlayStation lineup, like, from a third-party standpoint, these third-party publishers they're working with: February, FF7 Rebirth, March, Rise of the Ronin, April, Stellar Blade. I thought Stellar Blade was going to be a game in the latter portion of the year, but man, this game looks fantastic from an action gameplay standpoint. They killed it as far as song selection. I don't know if that's that track's going to be a part of the soundtrack, but that's how you do music selection, Ubisoft and Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown. That is how you do it with Stellar Blade. They did an awesome job showcasing that game, and I think it looks fantastic. Definitely going to be one of the titles to keep an eye on. It will be interesting to see, like, the length of the game. Is it going to be a lengthy action RPG, or is it going to be a game more straight to the point? You know, curious about that. Probably will ultimately be a $70 release, so interested to see how that turns out. But again, the release date is surprising. I think that's fantastic. You got another big game coming out in the first half of the year, and hopefully it turns out well, and hopefully that can end up being an IP for Sony and PlayStation. Like, hopefully it becomes a legit series, so we'll see how that ends up going. After that, we had Sonic X Shadow Generations. That's coming autumn of 2024. It seems like Sega wants to do yearly Sonic releases, but I thought that looked great as well. Looks like we are gonna have quite a bit of expansion on top of Sonic Generations with new content and whatnot. Gotta hear more about it, but that looked pretty good, and you guys know me. A quality Sonic game, I'm always gonna be all aboard. Remember, 2022 we had Sonic Frontiers, 2023 we had Sonic Superstars, and now we got Sonic X Shadow Generations. Excited for that, and that'll be out in the autumn of this year. Zenless Zone Zero was confirmed to be in development for PlayStation 5. That is the latest Hoyoverse title. Yeah, if you're into the Hoyoverse free-to-play titles, I'm sure it'll be a fine game, and it looked pretty cool based on what we saw, but take that for what you will. Foam Stars out on February 6th. We got a new trailer for it. PlayStation Plus Day 1 title. Yeah, that's fine. Dave the Diver, Godzilla, okay, Dave the Diver Godzilla crossover. V Rising coming to PlayStation 5 in 2024. You had some Silent Hill titles. Silent Hill Short Message, free to play and out today. That seems to be what Konami is looking to do with survival horror games going forward. And then Silent Hill 2, the remake, was also showcased. That looks quite good. And they just noted it's in development for PS5, so definitely not going to be out in the early portion of the year, but probably going to be sometime in the latter portion of the year, so interested to hear about that. And then we have Judas. This is coming from the creators of BioShock. It's a new IP. I really can't speak too much about it. I thought it looked fine. We're gonna have to hear more about it, but that is in development for next-gen platforms. Metro Awakening VR. You guys know I love me some Metro, and it's a double-edged sword whenever we talk about these VR titles. They gotta sell VR too. Like, people paid $550 for it, so you need quality games on it. At the same time, there are so many people that didn't spend $550 on it, and they like Metro as a franchise, so they're kind of out of luck. Take that for what you will. I think Metro in VR can work really well. It's just VR as a whole, I don't know how excited people are gonna get for it. New Metro title, take that for what you will. Legendary Tales, another VR game. Dragon's Dogma 2 got a new trailer. And you don't gotta sell me more on that game, but it looks great. Rise of the Ronin, finally got the in-depth gameplay drop on that, and I think that game looks fantastic. Unfortunate, and I like how they did Dragon's Dogma and Rise of the Ronin back-to-back. Guess what? They come out on the same day as well. Game looks enjoyable. Looks like it could be pretty challenging. Definitely get a little bit of that parrying action Souls vibe going on. But seems like it does have a narrative focus as well. I'm just curious how that game is going to do coming out on March 22nd. But we'll see. Excited for it, and I think it's going to turn out pretty well. It's Team Ninja. They always do pretty quality action titles. Until Dawn on PS5 looks fine. I mean, if you want to revisit Until Dawn, great. Death Stranding 2 confirmed for 2025. I think most of us had expected that, given that, you know, this year seemed a little bit too soon for Death Stranding 2. But yo, I thought the game looked fantastic. From a visual standpoint, it looks excellent. Can't imagine that this game is going to run at 60 frames per second, but who knows? I mean, yo, the Fox engine was crazy, so I wouldn't be surprised what they do with Death Stranding 2. Obviously, heavily narrative-driven. Go play Death Stranding 1. It's a game that I highly recommend everybody to check out. It's going to be a worthwhile game to be on the lookout for in 2025. Would have loved to see it in fall of this year, given that fall would mark 5 years since the release of Death Stranding 1, but what can you do? Death Stranding 2, I'm sure, will be quite good, but probably the most interesting thing is after that, they had a bit with Kojima saying that after the production of Death Stranding 2 and after that releases, they will be working on a brand new action espionage game in partnership with PlayStation. Obviously, this is something that, you know, Kojima's quite familiar with, interested to see how that can turn out. Guys, if you're gonna get excited for that game, like, they just mentioned it. I'm happy they didn't do any nonsense like a trailer or anything like that. It's gonna start development after Death Stranding 2, guys. This game ain't gonna be out until the PS6. Like, 100% it will be a PlayStation 6 title, so we can't even get excited about that. Thought it was funny that you had all these Konami, well, you had Silent Hill and Silent Hill 2 showcase and then action espionage game from Kojima. Look, everybody can eat, everybody can create quality games, all is fine, but yeah, that is going to be a long ways away. I did think that Final Fantasy VII was going to cap off the event, but they noted at the end, State of Play is back next week, and that will be the Final Fantasy VII Rebirth Showcase, all centered around FF7. Probably going to have the demo launch. I would assume that if you do an event dedicated just towards FF7, I don't know, dropping a demo with it sounds like a pretty good way to get people excited. But, man, I would say that this show was damn good. Around the 8 to 9 out of 10 range. Sure, there were games that I wasn't interested in, but, you know, that's always gonna happen. But for the most part, there were a lot of games. Helldivers 2, Stellar Blade, Sonic X Shadow. I mean, even stuff like Dave the Diver, like, that's fine. V Rising, Silent Hill looks great. You know, Metro is what it is as far as it being a VR title. Rise of Ronin, I thought looked great. Dragon's Dogma, Death Stranding 2, I thought looked fantastic. Just a lot to sink your teeth into for a State of Play. I don't have my expectations as high as the showcase, but I was pleasantly surprised, especially with how good Stellar Blade looked like. I thought that was the standout of the entire event. Death Stranding 2 looked great, don't get me wrong, but it's Death Stranding. Like, obviously that's gonna look great, but that'll do it for me. Let me know all of your thoughts in the comments section down below. Sound off there. Thought this was a killer show. Really did like it, so, you know, happy about all of that. So let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching, and goodbye. Hey guys, we hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, make sure to hit the subscribe button, and if you're already subscribed, do us a favor and hit the bell icon. This way you'll be notified whenever we post a new video. That's the best way to keep up with all of our uploads, and we usually try to upload 2 videos a day. And with the bell icon hit, you'll be notified whenever we do upload a video. As always, thanks for watching.